Welcome back to GOMTV.net. We are halfway through our 4 best of 3s today, but these best of 3s we're going to be doing now.
These are the good ones.
And match 4. These are the good ones. These are the ones that have a real impact on the makeup of this tournament.
Yes. This is... The thing is, in Group C, there is the possibility of 2 different three-way ties. We'll see how that one goes. And then, of course, in Group D, that whole group is being decided tonight with Trap against Supernova. The winner of that goes on. The loser of that is out.
Exactly. So this is going to be really cool, especially because the 2 players we're doing here now, hyvaa and First, have completely different playstyles.
Yeah, First has a playstyle of absolutely owning you, and then hyvaa is very cheesy.
Yes, this is very true. Can't get much more different than that.
No.
I think First actually wins this, but I'm going to say 2-1.
Yeah, hyvaa's pretty
proven
dangerous.
that he can beat some pretty strong opponents.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to pull out, but it's going to be crazy tasteless.
Do you think he cheeses again? And if he does, do you think he cheeses every single game?
I think he cheeses at least one time, like an all in at least one time. But we saw against Rain that he can play a kind of macro-ish ZVP, and he plays it pretty well.
Sometimes you get these guys who do cheese a lot and they're good at it, but you find out they do have the ability to play a solid normal game too, and that's something that's really actually really scary because you'll oftentimes overcommit in your defense.
Look, the cheesiest thing that a cheeser can do is play a macro
not
game.
Cheese, yeah.
Yeah, that's because you're waiting for it and you're looking for it and you're like, where is it coming? What is it? What am I seeing here? And then suddenly they have like 3 hatches and 70 drones, and you have 2 cannons and mostly a sentry army, but no immortals to go with it.
Exactly. And so it could be a pretty scary thing. Our map is going to be Belshear Vestige. It's a one-on-one map. Now, as we said before, hyvaa's been cheesing a lot. His cheeses have been successful so far in this tournament.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Not that one.
Not that one.
Not the one from the greatest series that I ever cast.
Yeah, the greatest series of
all time.
Make sure you check out hyvaa against Fantasy from last week.
Game 1. Never seen a strat like that before. That was incredible.
Fantastic one.
No spoilers there. So, but we'll see. Again, his aggressive style has paid off more than it hasn't.
Yes, it certainly has. I mean, he's very close to making it into the round of 8. It definitely can happen. He definitely wants to beat First tonight.
Right.
But if he loses, if I'm not mistaken, that puts First at 3-0. And that puts hyvaa at 1-2, which means there can be a 3-way tie for second that will go to playoffs.
That is very true as well.
But if he beats First, then there can be 3-2-1s. That's a possibility. So there could be a 3-way tie for first and second with one guy going out. So, based upon today, we'll have one guy going up or one guy going down.
Yeah, exactly right. We have both players in the game. So, again, we're piggybacked onto the on-game net production. The only production from GOM here is obviously the casting. We have one of our observers in the game. And the camera's here in the studio. So we don't get to decide when the games actually start. We don't really know when they're going to start. But when they do, we throw the games up on screen for you.
That's right. That's what we do here.
That's what we do. That's how we roll.
Yeah.
So
I gotta say, it is a bit refreshing doing a completely different type of league than what we're used to in the Codex.
Well, it's funny for us because we've been casting for so long before StarCraft 2, and we've casted in so many different settings. We've casted in studios, we've casted on stages, but we've never really done the cast like this in a Korean studio with a small audience here. It's kind of different.
Yeah.
Normally we're, at least for GOM stuff, we're normally you kind of put off into a little corner. Which
I'm
not complaining. That's kind of how we're used to doing it down here.
Yeah.
We know that people have headsets and are listening to us,
we wear our dunce caps while we
That's right. We're in timeout.
Yeah.
So, okay, first going into this match, what strats does First do?
Okay, First, well, this is a hard question. Of course, we see hyvaa right there. The thing is, hyvaa can be pretty aggressive, and does First want to play a completely defensive game? Because a lot of what First actually ends up doing in this matchup, I would say, first off, by the way, Tasteless, this might be his weakest, but weak by no means. Still one of the best PvZers.
Yeah, well, it's his not strongest, I guess.
Yeah, and what he showed us before in the matchup was like some very nice Zealot Phoenix pressure. He did some double forge play with that as well.
Yeah.
He could do stuff like that, but you have to be careful if you go for... Well, I guess, that's pretty safe overall. If you open up with a Stargate and you have a Mothership Core and you're going into 4 gates like that, there's not a lot Zerg's going to do that's going to blindly kill it. You know, they're going to have to, like, stop it, then go into more of a macro game. So maybe he stays with that style.
Well, you know, the weird thing is if First does do something like that, he could be at risk.
There
is a possibility, huge risk for cheese being successful because Hyva's cheeses usually start before anything technical that First could do would be completely in full execution, you know?
You know, one thing I want to see out of Hyva in at least one of these 2 to 3 games is, like, stop around 40 drones and go Roachling. That's a very powerful
That is a really strong strat, especially against somebody like First.
Look, it did, like, extremely well at certain times during Wings of Liberty. And if you look at the type of builds people use now, they're a little bit more greedy. You know, you have that Mothership Core. I feel like that is something that you still can use and kill a Protoss.
And you know, the funny thing about a strat like that, it's not very technical.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because it can win.
Yeah, if your opponent doesn't open with a Stargate, it's very hard to scout. And if you don't see it coming and you're, like, trying to take a third or something, you might just die to it.
Well, the beauty of it is once the Roaches get to your base, that's when they're only making Lings. The Lings reinforce very quickly. And the Lings essentially tank so that the Roaches can deal all the damage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot you can do. Even if you do know it's coming, 2 force fields gone wrong, and you should lose anyways. So
Could be. But, yeah, I'd love to see that. I think that would be a well-placed all-in here from Hyva, or at least a well-placed, like, super strong pressure into macro.
We could also see some Nidus Swarm play here from Hyva as well.
Yeah, you don't see that all that often, but I wouldn't mind seeing him try to pull off, like, I don't like 2-base Swarmhost Queen, but maybe a 3-base Swarmhost Queen, which I don't really like anyway either, but I think it's a little bit better, so...
Sure.
We could see something like that, maybe. Do you think, like, Roach Nidus or, like, a Roach Queen type of deal?
I was thinking Roach Nidus.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows? You might just play a standard Turtley game. I mean...
It could.
See, the thing is, I feel like First is actually better than Fantasy at this point in time.
Yeah,
in StarCraft 2.
I would say.
And we know that Hyva said to himself, I can't beat First. I mean, I can't beat Fantasy, excuse me.
Yeah.
And so he did these aggressive all-ins. I again, respect. He wants to win. That's what's most important when you're in a tournament. But I would
honor
feel
goes out the window. In fact, what's not honorful about a cheese? Stop thinking like that.
Of course. So, you know, with this match, I'm thinking
evil
like...
triumph.
I love that joke when I said evil wins.
Yeah.
You want to play a normal game Fantasy? Well, guess what? Get out. You lose. So, you know, we'll see in this one. But I could see Hyva doing the exact same thing, just a bunch of calculated all-ins to try to push himself further along in this tournament.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what it is. I'm sure it's on First's mind quite heavily here.
No, you know First went into this, and he's like, all right, you got to be ready for anything here.
You know what? I want to see him stay with his Stargate openings. You know, maybe some Phoenixes plus getting 3 gates, something like that, because I think that's going to be a powerful way to play against Hyva. It's going to give him scouting. It's going to give him enough units that he's not going to be caught too off guard. Yeah. But Hyva might pull that build Sulky did, man.
He absolutely could,
man. It's pretty good.
All right, guys, let's get ready for game number 1 between these 2 Gosus. In the bottom right, we have our Zerg player known for cheese. What will he do in this series? He is...
New challenger.
You laughing at me saying
2 Gosus.
2 Gosus.
Let's watch what these couple of experts do.
In the upper left, we have our Protoss player with incredible builds. Can he win this series? He is.
New challenger. LGIM First.
Can't wait to watch not 1 but 2 very talented players play against each other.
That's what I'm excited for, Artosis. All right, Artosis. You still a little bit sick? You got a little bit of a cough
just
there.
a tiny, like, I feel so much better now
That's
than
good.
I did. But, yeah, I wasn't feeling too well.
That's what sucks about just getting sick is, I mean, people just get... You cannot not get sick every once in a while.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually happen.
Now, look at the pylon placement here by First, plus a really quick scout. So this should be a gateway expand off of just a gateway.
Looks like it.
Yeah, and look, Hyva is doing that exact build that Sulky did. And this will actually change the build for First. He's going to scout this gas, and he is going to go ahead and tech up, grab his... In fact, he's going to probably have to go for, like, to be super safe. a 3 gateway expand. If he wants to make 100% sure that he doesn't die.
We were all doing in the beta.
Of wings, yeah.
Of wings, excuse me, not of Heart of the Swarm.
But yeah, I'm not at all surprised that Hyvaa did this build on this map. This is like a blind hard counter to a gateway expand. And as I was saying on Anaconda, like if Anaconda became a standard map in the map pool, this is the type of gateway expand we'd see, the one walling at the ramp, because you're going to be able to hold on against this. You have a wall, the Lings can't get in, and you laugh as the Zerg has wasted his entire economy.
No kidding, man. Well,
it's actually quite
pool
fun.
is done, and the core is on the way. Now, this is going to be a very unusual PvZ if you just started watching StarCraft 2 compared to what you're used to seeing.
Yeah. This is going to look like...
They both opted to open up a certain way, discovered that the ways they were opening up couldn't be used. They had to shift gears to something else.
This is like 2.5 years ago is what we're watching right now. Love this. Hide that probe. The Lings are going to be pretty busy. We'll see if he ends up finding them. And look, he's not even... It looks like Hyvaa may go ahead and expand because his Overlord kind of did scout what was going on and realizes that he's not breaking through there.
Well, he's not going to be mining any more gas for a little bit, but Ling speed is on the way. He will get map control with these Zerglings.
I will bet you, Tasteless, I think we're going to see Hyvaa do a little plume of Lings after a few more drones, just to make sure that he can deny a very fast Nexus still. Yeah,
what Protoss is probably going to have to end up doing is getting 2 more gateways and trying to push out with sentries and a Zealot onto the low ground, secure that Nexus. But you got to be careful because mass Lings can come over there and start attacking that Nexus that's making and force a cancel.
Yeah. And there they are. Look at that.
What do you know?
Well, this is going to make first completely safe. As long as he waits for those gates to finish. It looks like he wants to put on some pressure, perhaps. But I think that's probably going to end up getting scouted. So.
Well, he sees that the Lings also have speed here.
Yeah.
Or like Zerg try to go for some quick layer or something else with that gas. So
if Hyvaa doesn't look for a pylon now after seeing that guy come down, that's really weird.
Yeah. Not only just really weird, it's also really bad.
Yeah. He's keeping all his Lings together, which I'm a little bit confused. Like, I really feel like those 4 Lings should have split up by now.
I agree. Check around the map, see what's there.
Well, he's just droning up behind. Little does First know he could have warped in some Zealots over there and done some potential damage. But, all right. Looks like this game is actually going to, as funny as is, normalize a bit.
Yeah. And by the way, that hidden pylon has been spotted, the one that would be used to warp in an army.
And, okay, so that's really good because First was actually starting to move out towards that. And if he had done so and actually gotten a full warp in there, that would have been deadly. Now, we have a bunch more Lings. He is going up to about 18, it looks like. But with 3 gates, unless First really blunders this, he should be able to hold.
He's going to need to make more structures over here at the entrance, which he's doing right now. 1 more up there, and actually he can just very easily hold off the mass Lings.
Yeah.
There's not much to it.
It will have to be a pretty big blunder to let this out. In fact, he doesn't even want to lose that probe, and almost doesn't, but kills quite a few Lings.
He's using the mothership core out here on the map to spot to see if there's any waves of Lings heading towards his base, so he can preempt those force fields a little bit better.
Yeah. Now, he is going up to 5 gateways right now, and we never, ever see gateway expands into 5-gate attacks anymore. This is the oldest build that I can even think of right now.
I think so.
This is such an antique build that we're seeing. But will he actually do an attack with it? Because it is very powerful. Oh, my God.
Oh, no. The Lings have gotten inside now, and they're going to unpower these 2 gateways.
Oh, that's huge.
And in fact, those units can't even be warped in over there.
This is so painful, and Hyvaa's reign of terror continues. Well, this game is not over yet. He does warp home, and he should be fine to hold this off. But this counterattack did a little bit of damage, and definitely stopped. This is the most effective way to stop the attack that was coming at him, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it did buy some time here. The Forge is now on the way here. All right, misplaced, but canceled, and then rebuilt.
And now First has to be... He might be a little bit shaken right now. He's played such great games so far, and in fact, he dealt with that extremely well.
Well, First had to do more damage. And not just to defend his Nexus. He actually had to try to push out an attack. I don't know if the timing window is still there, but we're going to find out soon. He's going to move out here and engage this group of Lings right here.
Yeah, now he does have 2 forges on the way. I love to see this. It's kind of a new school style. We saw a lot from Stardust in his DreamHack win. And it's going to allow him to get a really highly upgraded army and do a very, very powerful attack.
So, let's see where this game goes from here. This is not a situation either of these guys have been able to practice a lot for.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we're basically watching them feel this out and how to solve this.
Yeah, this is such an old school scenario that, you know, even if you had practiced it back then, the game is so different from this point. It's hard to know exactly what to do here.
All right. Well, he has clogged the entrance here with 1 Zealot. But he's doing a nice job cutting off reinforcements here on those. In fact, Hyvaa actually is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Supplies, by the way, 94 to 68.
It's very, very nice indeed. You know, it's okay for First to be down a little bit in supply right now.
Well, it is the nature of the matchup, but at this point in time, it's a little bit too early.
It is. That's a big supply difference for this early, that's for sure.
Yeah. We're not even at the 11-minute marker here.
But, you know, his double forge is what he's counting on to make up for it. You know, we're going to see him try to jump into 2-2 or 2-1-1. And he's going to be grabbing Immortals, no doubt, as well.
Yeah, the Immortals are going to come in very handy considering how many roaches we're going to see coming from Hyvaa right now.
Yeah, and a highly upgraded Immortal Sentry Zealot type army is super powerful against layer tech. Like, ridiculously powerful.
Oh, yeah. And I think off the back of that, he's going to go ahead and try to get a 3rd base. So we're going to see a lot more turtling. That's the only reason why pros have banked up that much money right now.
Yeah. Well, Hyvaa going to keep on poking and prodding around. In the meantime, his creep spread's actually going pretty well for how this game started out. That +2 attack on the way, as well as some mortals, and even
perhaps I actually spoke too soon. He's not getting the Nexus. I think he actually masked that pretty well here. But we have an attack from both sides now.
Wow, that was a nice little run around there by Hyvaa. It's really using up all of his force fields, and in fact, right now we actually see so many sentries starting to go down. Wow, Hyvaa has actually outdone First so far. And in fact, look at this huge lead right now for Hyvaa.
Yeah, 74 to 134 right now. And Hyvaa's not done yet. He's now pushing forward over here to the entrance.
Yeah, Hyvaa's starting to show some serious skill in this game, Tasteless. He is just busting through at the moment. And what exactly does First do from here?
All right, the forge now goes down, and he's continuing to hit hard. This means no 3rd base. In fact, this might be an impossible to recover from scenario here.
Well, we can see that First he's desperate. He's making a Dark Shrine. He's getting Blink. He's getting that +2 attack very, very slowly now, and continue to make Immortals. So, without any doubt, this is going to be a 2-base all-in. You know,
yeah, well, you can't try to take a 3rd from here. Zerg's already so ahead. And remember, he lost a lot of sentries there. That's one of the easiest way for Protoss to when they are ahead to suddenly become behind is to lose too many sentries. Those cost a lot of gas.
Very, very true. Now, one thing I have to... Whoa. I think he's going to cancel that.
I think you're right. I don't think... I do not agree with actually getting that 3rd base. What's up?
He just started another forge, so I guess not. If you're going to start another forge, you're going to play the longer game.
Well, let's see if this can work.
So I guess he's relying on the DTs to do something here, which, by the way, is really, really smart. But I'll talk about that in a second. We have Hyvaa running up right now, and some beautiful force fields going down. First, starting to hold hard, but it looks like this gateway going to be picked off.
Really nicely done. Now, he doesn't have that many force fields left right now. And there are still a lot of roaches right now, and supply to 158 now.
Yeah, you know, he
did do a good job keeping those Immortals alive, though.
He did. That's very, very important. But he's lost a lot of sentries. And just as you say that, Tasteless, an Immortal does get picked off.
Yeah. And now coming back over here, he can get into the main very easily. But one good force field does cut him off.
Yeah, but those roaches will get into the main base. Looks like, a missed force field right there. So some roaches may be able to go up and do a little bit of harassment.
And also the 3rd base being hit here. See, this is the problem, is when you get this behind, there are so many options at the fingertips of the Zerg. There are so many different ways that he can play the game. Now, let's see, though. Can these DTs do some damage to turn this around? It looks like this Nexus will get targeted down and removed no matter what.
Well, you know what, Tasteless? I think the DTs are going to do some damage, i.e. kill a base. But that's probably it. You know, in the time it takes them to kill a base, Overseers will morph, and everything should be okay. But he's splitting them up. And Overseers being made. Looks like Hyvaa has realized it.
Hyvaa now, all he has to do is defend and minimize the amount of damage that is dealt here from these DTs, and he should be fine.
Well,
here they come now. Going to go for these drones. Looks like this is the first one will be taken out before doing really anything. DT number 3 now, number 2 inside the base, and does manage to get. Oh my God, does not actually manage to get that queen. And that's a pretty big blow. And the follow-up for this is going to be first just doing an all-in.
Yeah, there's nothing else really left to him. He's going to have to make nothing but stalkers, and the problem is there's going to be a lot of lings, and 8 sentries will hold off against lings for a while, but not really all that long, especially with mutas bearing down on them.
All right. It looks like now First is moving out of his base, but I would not say that he has map control here. In fact, these mutas going to back up, waiting for the rest of the Zerg army to get in here. We do not have a mothership core with that army, so it cannot recall.
And the ling's just going to run up. Oh God, this puts First in the spot where, do I walk back and have most of my main raised and slow down my attack, or do I just go and let him kill all my production and economy?
Exactly. Now he's going to go ahead and hit these cannons here, and it looks like now First is going to go ahead and try to attack into this bottom location that is controlled by the Zerg. I can't foresee this being very effective. The mutas realize they can't do too much more damage over here inside the main base, so they're going to go ahead and fly out and head down here and try to engage this force that we see now for First.
Yeah, really cool idea to just defend with some stalkers and move forward with the rest, because the rest is going to be pretty effective against the Roach-based army down there, but Hyvaa with this nice counterattack, really forcing First into ridiculously hard decisions.
All right, now the mutas and the lings coming down here now and hitting these stalkers. We don't really have any zealots or defense, so he's going to have to depend on force fields. 2 DTs actually mixed in with that army of the Zerg.
That's right. They're like the Protoss changelings.
That's right.
Hyvaa probably wondering why everything's dying.
So, I mean, look, he's going to go in there, and this is kind of a base trade scenario, but this is a lot of damage output here and a much more nimble army for Hyvaa.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at what we have here. 2-1 upgrades for Protoss. He has Blink as well. As far as Zerg goes, he's about to have that. He is going to have +1 attack on all of his units, all the flying and the ground, all of them. But the amount of mutas, I guess, is the actually most important thing. And there's going to be a total of 18 mutas or so, or he's losing a few. So give or take 18 mutas. And that's going to be against 22 stalkers, 8 sentries.
Well, the amount of damage is being dealt here. I mean, he could actually have to evacuate the drones, all of them, and start making extractors elsewhere.
Yeah.
No, look at the supplies, too. Protoss can't quite afford a Nexus. Zerg can just barely afford a hatchery.
Yeah. And, in fact, did he put... No, he spent all of his money on Zerglings instead. So.
Once he gets that Nexus, though, all the locations will be revealed here. Of First buildings, and Mutalists can get there very easily. Right now, the most that Protoss can make will be 3 pylons.
Yeah, this is pretty rough. The thing is, First Army probably, definitely would win a heads up, I would say.
Yep.
But
right, so we just have these structures being hit.
Ooh, those DTs, very nice.
Oh, that was really nice.
Yeah, that was...
Wait, how much Zerg stuff is left then?
Wait a minute. He's got all those buildings in his main base. There's a DT in there chopping up
now
some
there's
stuff.
nothing left for Protoss with that pylon and this one down here, right?
There's 19 minerals left for Zerg, so he needs to actually return some minerals somewhere, and he's not going to do that. He's actually running drones.
All right, that was it. Hyvaa wins.
Okay, so...
Cool game.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
Yeah.
That was a really good try by First after Hyvaa caught him off guard a couple times.
Well, Hyvaa was way ahead, and First managed to make that game a nail-biter.
I pose this question to you right now, Tasteless. Is Hyvaa the next Zerg Bone Tribe?
I think so.
Look, he's playing. That was a really well-played game. He chose a build that I think was a good choice.
The logical build that First would go for.
But First was so smart about it. He was so well-planned. He's like, you know what he might do to me? Is that build that some Zergs do on the ladder for free ladder points, and I'm not going to let him get free ladder points here.
Yeah.
Well, Hyvaa still got the ladder points, Stasis, but they weren't free. It was definitely a battle. And I got to say, there's so many really smart moves both players did, where Hyvaa was staying very aggressive and surrounded that army at first. That was probably the most important part of the game, where he killed all the sentries with the flanking around, when First was looking like he was going to take a third base. And then I loved how First went for a Dark Shrine. It was such a good idea, because when you're going like Sentry Immortal, you don't really expect to see DTs, right? Like he's going to keep pressure on. Spores are the last
it's
thing
an
on the
unusual
Zerg line.
tech switch there.
Yeah, so smart moves on both sides, but Hiva keeping on top of that aggression made it so that the DTs never really came into play.
Yeah, I got to say, Hiva was really ahead for most of that, but that was a pretty sweet ending there. At the very end, I feel like actually First could have gotten much closer to even winning with that base trade.
Yeah,
it seemed
was a
like
hard
he
one.
didn't, because he kept so many of the Stalkers and the Immortals all together. You can just basically have the Immortals attack the location that you first get to, then it blinked the Stalkers over to one way, half of them, the other half the other way.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the absolute best base trade for him.
But the base trade is the hardest thing to deal with in StarCraft too.
And you know what? Here's another thing that I really want to see every Protoss player do. When you're playing against Mutalisks and you leave your base with a big attack, bring a couple probes with you. Just put them in your control group, keep them in the center of your army, because so often we see the Mutalisk player with an army that he's like, I don't think I quite win heads up with this, but the base trade I sure as hell win, and they're right, they do. So
and they could park their army right over and make a nexus somewhere in the Zerg's former base. Make a nexus and just start mining there, and you can come back. I mean, you'd be surprised
it is
what
a
can happen.
possibility.
Sometimes these guys have basically no workers.
Yeah, and sometimes your army is so much stronger, you can actually not do your last round of warpins and make a pylon trail as you walk across the map to kill Zerg buildings and things like that. There are situations like that, especially when you have DTs in your army. That's so helpful in a base trade.
Our second map is going to be Star Station. Star Station, a map that for anybody is generally hard when it comes to holding the third base.
Yeah, I think that this is a two-base time attack.
I got to agree with you there, Artie.
I do not want to play against Hive on this map trying to take that third. Absolutely not.
It's, probably a two-base timing here from the Protoss, but it's Hiva.
Yeah, it's Hiva, man.
He might not play a normal game.
He might not. That's a true possibility. But I got to say, he played very well that game, Tasteless.
He played very well.
Superbly. When he got scouted, he was and his Overlord scouted what was going on. He made 4 lings. It's all right. I'll just take and expand. I'm not stupid.
I'm not stuck making these lings. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's the difference between him and Zerg on the ladder, man, because then they just make the lings and go up against the wall.
They attack
hope
you.
Your Zealot
then they curse you out and then leave the game, and you're like, all right, moving on up.
Yeah.
So hopefully these players will be ready, or whoever's we're waiting on is going to be ready here.
Yeah, it looks like
with
Hiva's
First
ready.
against Hiva.
Yeah, First probably thinking to himself, pondering, what does he do this game? What does he do different?
Hiva's so hard to play against. He's got this way of playing that is not proper, but does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's
hard countering on the map. He's hard countering for the common build. He hard counters for the way his opponent plays.
Well, you can't play your normal game against Hiva no matter what.
There actually is something to be said about playing like this.
Well, look,
because it is working very convincingly.
He's investing in his own image, which is this hilarious thing that any poker player's watching may be like, oh, I understand what... It's not necessarily that he's doing it on purpose to do that, but it is happening.
Yes.
Right now he's saying, don't you ever 14 command against me. Don't you go for a Forge in the main. Don't you go for just a gateway, expand with a gateway near your Nexus. I'm going to kill you just randomly all the time because
if
I
you try that, I'm just going to end the game.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's going to be so scared to play about. People are going to remember this for months and months and months. And unless Hiva becomes a total turtle maniac type of macro Zerg or something, then you can't use the more normal builds against him. He's just too dangerous.
It's a real thing, too. You'll see this with a lot of different StarCraft players where they just, like MVP, it's like, don't count on MVP not cheesing. Don't do that.
Can't do it.
He's cheesed. I've seen him cheese, 3 times in a best of 5 or a best of 7. It's pretty incredible. It's one of these things like MVP, all right, you have to be ready for anything. That's kind of his shtick. And when playing this, and all these players have this, but with Hiva especially, I'm thinking, wow, this would be a very tough player to prepare against.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to play by his rules.
Yeah, you have to play safe, man. Absolutely. Well, first, he had the right idea. The thing is, Hiva just kind of outplayed him afterwards.
Yeah.
It's trapping all those sentries in there. First, overextend down that ramp for 1 second.
When you lose those sentries... I mean, you've pretty much lost the game.
Yeah, if Zerg plays perfectly after killing off your first big batch of sentries, especially if it's a really early game, then normally you're not really going to come back. It becomes almost impossible.
Exactly. All right, it looks like it's time to start this match. Hiva is up 1, so first we'll have to win this match and the next one. first in a little bit of a difficult spot as Hyvaa is rapidly proving that he is the most unpredictable player to play against, with a play style that is not built necessarily for style points. It's not made to impress you. It's made to win.
Yes, absolutely, Tasteless. And winning
Whatever
is what
takes.
he's doing.
Yeah.
Taking out Fantasy already. Can he take out First as well? Don't forget he took a game off Rain. This guy is dangerous as can be.
All right, looks like our map has loaded up, so we're going to throw this on screen for you guys here. And we're going to be that much closer to see who's going to win in this PVZ here at GOMTV.net.